Tuesday, once again, today we are discussing the topic of Craigslist and staying safe online, all in light of a recent story in which police say a young local man was murdered trying to sell his vehicle on the site. Attorney David Aylor, a legal wizard when it comes to the World Wide Web, joins us right now to weigh in. Counselor, I mean, this was a shocking story here in the Low Country, and it's got repercussions all across the entire United States of America because we're seeing this become more and more prevalent. People using the internet, specifically Craigslist or those kind of sharing websites, to basically rip people off, in some cases murder. It's becoming a criminal tool, you could say.
Yeah, unfortunately it is. But, you know, most things, particularly that when you're talking about the internet, have, you know, avenues that people go down and they do use it for criminal means. And this is unfortunately just a tragic example of it. What you have to think about, though, is there's a lot of people, millions of people per day that use Craigslist. I know I've used it. You've probably used it yourself, and have had no issues with it. It can be a great tool for a number of different things, sort of like an online yard sale, for that matter, when it comes to selling items and also looking for jobs and things like that. So I think there's a lot of positive things that definitely outweigh the negatives. Unfortunately, though, when you do hear about something like this, it really starts to kind of scare you and concern you about what you should and shouldn't do if you're going on those type of sites.
Of course, when dealing with something like Craigslist and arranging a meet, it should be like any other kind of meeting that you have, that you want to know the other party before you get involved and get into a vehicle, in this case, which is what happened with them. So some other tips to stay safe. Obviously, you want to do some background on this person if you can, but does that make it more difficult to do it because this is Craigslist and it's so anonymous?
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit unrealistic that you're going to be able to do a full check on somebody that wants to buy your flat screen TV or that sort of thing. But what you really want to do is, you know, when you discuss these things with people, if you can, you want to try to put it in writing, whether it be text message or email, so each party has an understanding and agreement from a business standpoint of what you're trying to do and what the deal is. As far as actually selling the items or meeting someone to sell the items, I think just really some you know, common practice type of things that you usually would do. You want to meet them if they're coming to your home to look at a piece of furniture, perhaps. You know, make sure there's somebody else there.
Right.
You don't want to just have a stranger come to your house with you being alone, no matter what could happen, whether it, again, is some sort of business disagreement or it could lead to some sort of violence or criminal act. Also, of course, when you're out meeting someone, you know, you want to make sure that you have done your due diligence in regards to knowing that what the cost is, that all these things are discussed over the phone, and so you at least don't waste your time, but also put yourself in harm's way on a situation that maybe perhaps you really shouldn't have walked into in the first place.
We had a case here in the Low Country, obviously the one we're talking about. There was also a case up in Boston where a similar kind of thing happened. They called that the Craigslist killer, made some TV movies about it, got a lot of headlines. Are you seeing more predatory behavior on sites like Craigslist?
Well, in that situation, particularly there in Boston, it was a little bit of a different scenario where this individual was soliciting these females for what they believe to be sexual acts and things of that sort. So that's a completely different realm in and of itself. It is something that was criticized about Craigslist because of the dangerous, violent acts that occurred all across the nation. Yes, specifically the one you're referring to, or the incidents that one individual was charged with, of course, did gain a lot of popularity. But in regards to that, I think you bring up a good point as far as the personal meeting part of the website. You want to be very, very careful about that because you truly don't know what type of situation you're walking into. But generally speaking, a lot of this would be what you would hope would be common sense.
Sure.
But unfortunately, when you get caught up in these things, people tend to sort of forget that and then end up somewhere they don't want to be.
Indeed. From a legal perspective, obviously charges are going to be filed in this case here in the Low Country as they were up in Boston and across the country when it comes to fraud and these things. Who actually is going to be handling these kind of cases? Is that local municipalities? Is that state? Is it federal?
You know, it's most likely going to be state. However, if there's other aspects that come into play, depending on who's charged, and if there's things like where they're crossing state lines and different things like that, it may actually become a federal case. But it's something that I think everybody's paying attention to.
Yeah.
In today's society, I don't think it's going to change in regards to having a lot of people that use these sites because it's very helpful and can help commerce across the country and the world for that matter. On the other hand, just like any other trade from the past that we still have today, there's going to be a criminal element you just have to be aware of.
Sure, and when you do have electronic things like this, that leaves an electronic record as well, so you can try and trace some of that evidence back.
And hopefully that can help along the way as well.
Indeed. Counselor David Aylor, thank you for your time, sir. Always a pleasure. As office hours right there. You can see us on Low Country Live each week, and we're right back with more, so stay with us.